Welcome back to eSIM Studios. My name is Taylor Bell. We have another edition for Buy This, Not That, where we break down the specs, compare two devices, but we don't just break down the specs. We go one step further and differentiate the pros and cons between the two just so you can have more purchase power. So we make sure you purchase the correct device. Now, we have a classic matchup here: iPhone 17 versus Pixel 10 series. But before we jump into it, remember the eSIM Studios YouTube channel and the Buy This Not That series is sponsored by Leica Mobile. Leica Mobile is a fantastic mobile carrier service provider. You can get 18 gigs of data per month, unlimited talk, unlimited text, $7.50 per month. If you want to go unlimited, they got that too, only $18 per month. Link will be down below in the description. Let's get into it. So, iPhone 17 versus Pixel 10, classic, ultimate, base flagship showdown. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So, both of these devices, it was AI generated, so they got the pixel wrong, but I got some. It is what it is. This is a classic matchup. We're going to breeze through this. I'm going to try to keep this relatively shorter than the others. We're going to go through all the specs, as I mentioned earlier, and then at the end, we're going to price them. Not the $799 that you see at new. A lot of people don't buy brand new devices, right? You're trying to find the best deal, trying to find a relatively cheap one. And at the moment, there are a ton of used ones online. We're going to go through the used price because you see the brand new price, but we're going to go through the current price at this moment when this video is recorded, and then you can take those prices. Links will be down below as well, so you can check it whenever you're ready. If it's a month from now, 2 months from now, prices will change, obviously fluctuate a little bit, but you will be able to check the prices and then compare that with whoever's selling one. So let's jump right into it. So the hardware that we have here, it's a golden age of the base flagship. Now we're excluding Samsung. This is just the classic Google versus Apple matchup, right? So choosing a base flagship phone meant essentially compromises, right? You get the flagship moniker, flagship naming, but you don't get the flagship specs like the Pro and Pro Max for Apple, or the Ultra for Samsung, or the Pro XL for Google. It's basically the base flagship is basically a upper tier mid range device. It's basically what it is. The flagships, technically, in my book, are the Ultras, the Pros. It's basically how it rolls. But both of these companies, Google and Apple, put in some key upgrades this year for these specific devices, and we're going to go through it. So, the hardware leap, those upgrades Apple made: 120 hertz ProMotion display on the base iPhone 17, bumped it up to a base 256 gigs of storage, and then they put in a fantastic 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor back there. And on the Google side, there's a new 5x optical telephoto lens. It does incorporate Pixel Snap, essentially Google's version of the MagSafe. It's got magnets in the back there, so you do not have to have a case to use MagSafe accessories. You could slap it on there naked. Pause. And then Gemini AI core integration with all the pixels. So it got a little AI boost this year for the Pixel 10 series, right? Now, let's move into the raw specs. That's what everybody wants to see, and we'll discuss it. And remember, we're going to go one step further as well. So, raw specs. The processor. The iPhone has the A19. It's based on a 3 nanometer node, and the Tensor G5 CPU, also based on 3 nanometer. The RAM, iPhone has only 8 gigs of RAM. It's not AI heavy. Google, the Pixel 10, on the other hand, does have 12 gigabytes of RAM. It's AI heavy. AI does use memory a decent amount, so that's why it's got 12 on there. But we all know Apple Intelligence sucks, and it doesn't require a lot of RAM, honestly. But you do get the base storage, as I mentioned earlier, 256 gigs. And a real big bummer with the Pixel 10 is you get base 128. There is 256 gig storage variant available. but you're going to shell out a little more, which we'll get into prices shortly. Both displays, 6.3 inches. Both displays are AMOLED. Both displays go up to 120 hertz refresh rate. However, here's the difference. The iPhone goes all the way down to 1 hertz when you're not using it. The Pixel 10 only goes down to 60 hertz when you're not using it. It's a big difference, and we'll see here shortly in battery life. Now, going back to those cameras, this is a brief overview of the cameras. We're going to get into a detailed overview in just a minute. You got 48 and 48 megapixel cameras on the iPhone, and on the Pixel 10, you got 48, 13, and a 10.8 megapixel telephoto 5x. Now, check out these battery stats. And again, we're going to go into more depth in these. The iPhone has a 3692 milliamp hour battery, and the Pixel 10 more than essentially 1300 more milliamp hours than the iPhone at just a hair under 5,000 milliamp hours on that Pixel 10. So that is nice. iPhone, you got 3D Face ID always, and with the Pixel 10, you have ultrasonic in display fingerprint sensor. You also do have Face Unlock on the Pixel as well. It's just not as advanced as Apple's, but it's there for the Pixel. It is certainly there for the Pixel. Now, getting into hardware specs as far as the build, the quality, the iPhone weighs 177 grams, Pixel 204 grams. So the iPhone is considerably lighter. I think you can tell the difference if you hold them in hand. A slight difference. It's also thinner. The iPhone is also thinner at 7.95 millimeters compared to 8.6 millimeters thick for the Pixel 10. Both IP68 water and dust resistance. Both have matte and aluminum frames. Matte glass on the back and then aluminum frames, mid-frame. Action camera control button on the, I guess if you're holding it looking at the display on the iPhone 17, you have the action button on the right side. You have the Ceramic Shield 2. Glass on as far as for the display. And then Gorilla Glass Victus 2 for the Pixel 10 series. And as we mentioned, Pixel Snap accessories built in. Now, those displays that we were talking about, that go up to 120 hertz. However, the Pixel, as I mentioned, just goes down to 60 hertz when not using it. iPhone goes all the way down to 1 hertz. But look at this brightness. Essentially the same. Both are rated at 3000 peak nits brightness. iPhone 17 does have an always-on display. Pixel has like a semi-always-on display. It's like when you pick it up or you get notified, it'll show you. It's like semi. I forgot what the actual term is in the settings. Brain fart. It's semi always on display, but Apple has the true always on display. So keep that in mind. For people that like always on display, I turn mine off. I just never used it. But let's go to brains versus bronze, because this is essentially what it comes down to. And we're going to get to kind of who each phone is for and what you use your phone for. So brains versus bronze, the beauty and the beast, smart versus dumb, kind of. So the raw power goes to the iPhone. That A19 CPU there is just flat out better than the Tensor G5. And the Tensor G5, though, is smarter. They use more AI to better intelligence. It's powered by Gemini. Now, the iPhone will have in the future, remember, Apple is tapping in with Google to use Gemini-powered Siri, but they haven't completed anything yet. They haven't pushed any updates to these phones. But you will have a decent AI experience on this iPhone 17. Who knows when? Probably a year from now. So if you plan on getting one somewhere down the line here in the near future, AI is going to be, I don't know how close it's going to be to Google's AI, but it's going to be powered by Google's AI. So it's going to be pretty good. So AI sucks now on iPhone. Give it I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year, and it'll have really good AI on it. So keep that in mind. Now let's go to the gaming, comparing these two CPUs. Gaming and thermals sustaining the load. So the Google, if you can't tell already, the Tensor G5, not the most productive, not the most best performing CPU when it comes to gaming, as I mentioned earlier. When it comes to video editing, it just doesn't cut it for me. No pun intended when editing videos. But if you do light gaming, if you edit some TikToks and do a little social media here and there, you're not gonna like this Pixel. I can guarantee you that. You're gonna want to go with the iPhone. Here's proof right here. When that CPU gets ramped up, there's little thermal throttling, meaning CPU can hang in there with a lot of heavy duty intensive tasks. The Pixel thermal throttling ramps up, which means it's like car engine. The RPMs go down because it's getting too hot. So it rolls down the performance, and you can see it there on that chart. Performance, when it cools down, when the line goes down, then it can ramp back up. CPU can ramp back up, but when it gets really hot, cools down, then it ramps up, then it cools down, then it ramps up, then it cools down. You get the point. And there's not really much improving that, honestly, over time. You're kind of stuck to what your hardware limitations are there. So keep that in mind if you do light gaming, if you do any type of editing, video editing, rendering whatsoever. Pixel's probably not going to be your best choice. But if you just take photos and you just need a basic phone, it's a good choice. But let's move on. So speaking of the phone for you, so two different types of ecosystems here. You got iOS 26, you got Google Android 16. We're moving on to Android 17 here shortly, which basically looks like Android 16. So it'll basically look the same here, have the same features. I've tested Android 17. I can't tell the difference. So iOS 26 is liquid glass. I don't really like liquid ass because it's hard to see. Honestly, you're like, what the? I'm like, damn, am I getting old, or is this operating system just suck? And I go use the Android. I'm like, oh yeah, iOS just sucks. So kind of see through stuff on the display, as you can see there on the left, and then Android on the right. Very easy, very basic, very simple, especially with a Pixel. You get Magic Q, which nobody uses. You get Camera Coach, which nobody uses. You have Flawless Magic Editor, which nobody uses. You have Camera Coach, which nobody uses. If you're unfamiliar with how the phone works, those things are great to kind of assist you to use some of these functions if you want to. And then iPhone, you got visual intelligence scanning, and you got Genmoji generation. You have cleanup, still clunky, and execution, and then you have cleanup something. So Apple's AI integration feels like an app. Google's Gemini feels like it's part of the operating system, and I can, for one, tell you that that's 100% true. Now, getting into this camera hardware, this is probably both devices' strengths, but they have pros and cons to the camera system. So as I mentioned, in the iPhone, you get 48 megapixel main sensor, 48 megapixel ultra wide sensor, and in the front facing camera, you have a brand new sensor, an 18 megapixel center stage square sensor on the iPhone. That's really cool because if you want to shoot vertical, you don't have to hold your phone vertical. I'm talking about the front facing selfie camera. If you want to shoot sideways, like horizontal, you don't have to turn your phone sideways. You can hold it however you want, and then you can choose your aspect ratio from holding the phone upways, or you can hold it sideways and still shoot a vertical selfie video. It's really cool. On the Pixel, you get 48 megapixel main sensor, 13 megapixel ultra wide sensor, front facing sensor is a 10.5 megapixel, and then you get a 10.8 telephoto 5x optical. And both phones are really good when it comes to the camera department. Now, iPhone, you're going to get a digital crop zoom, a digital crop method with that 48 megapixel main sensor. And then with the Pixel, you're getting a true 5x optical zoom there. It has a dedicated periscope lens, no digital crop, anything like that. And I'm sure there's pros and cons to which one you choose. Both look rather good when you zoom in, anything 5x. I think Pixel can zoom in super far, but uses AI post-processing to clean it up. But anything within 5x on both of these devices look really, really freaking good. Let's see, Pixel goes up to 30x super res zoom, and then Apple's caps out at 10x. So you have that to look forward to. Let's see here. Photography, reality versus vibe. So the telephoto reach goes to the Pixel. Zoom goes to the Pixel. portraits and selfies is a tie. And then night phone and night. Did I say night phone? Lord have mercy. Nighttime in dynamic range. They're giving it to the iPhone. Pixel invented the night shot, but Apple, this is where Apple has really improved their night photography. However, one thing I really don't like on iPhone is you really see the lens flare at night when there are external lights, street lights, you're in a parking lot, at a gas station, the lights coming down on you. When you take photos at night with an iPhone, you get, or videos, you get really, really bad lens flare, meaning like you see the rays of light in your sensor, and I absolutely hate that. You get a tiny bit of it on the Pixel, but it's very noticeable for me on the iPhone. I hate to shoot at night with an iPhone. Just keep that in mind. But each one is good for each uh, um, for each specific shot. You might want a Pixel. For another specific shot, you might want an iPhone. Bottom line is, I don't think you can go wrong with either one as far as the camera department. You can get great shots in good video with either one. So I wouldn't let that be a huge determining factor when it comes to choosing which one of these phones that you actually want. So here is the camera, more winners and losers, so to speak, on different types of shots. So 17, Pixel 10, zoom, max 10x digital. Again, Pixel is the winner. Pixel 10 is the winner. 30x digital zoom. Now, ultra wide, they're giving it to the iPhone. And let's see, for the front facing selfie camera, it's interesting because this slide gave the selfie to the Google Pixel. In the last slide gave it it was a tie. It was a tie. So again, you really can't go wrong with either one. Portraits, edge detection. When you take a portrait shot, iPhone does a little bit better on edge detection or clarity, where it's so detailed. The stuff behind you is supposed to be blurred out on a portrait shot, but iPhone is so good at taking these precise portrait photos that you can see each individual hair, and then everything else behind it is blurry. It's really cool. I think Apple's done a great job with that. So if you take a lot of portraits, you might want the iPhone. So the great video divide. So on the Apple, you have 4K 60, and on Pixel you get 4K 60, right? Crisp detail, perfect stabilization on the iPhone. And then the Pixel has been, there's been some complaints online with video in the Pixel. It suffers from a lot of noise. It's not as smooth when you're taking video. The optical image stabilization is not as good as the iPhone. It's even not as good as Samsung flagship devices. Pixel's still behind. And remember, this is the base Pixel. The Pixel Pro, 10 Pro, Pro XL, they have upgraded sensors, even better sensors on the back than this normal Pixel 10. And it helps a little bit with smoothing out the videos. So if you do take a lot of videos, you might want to check the Pro or the Pro XL in the Pixel department. But this iPhone takes videos. iPhone's known for videos, right? So I think we can just go ahead and give this to iPhone when it comes to the video department. It renders videos very fast, and Pixel struggles a little bit. I'm going to be completely honest with you. So let's see here. Battery and charging. Here's another winner for Apple, and it's got a smaller battery, but it lasts longer and it charges faster. So Google's been really stiff on charging. I'm going to put this out there. This is not in the slides. On this Pixel 10 series, Google implemented a 200 charging cycle limit, meaning after you charge your phone 200 times from 0 to 100, that essentially comes out to about 6 months or a little bit over 6 months. Google will cap your battery capacity at 80%, meaning after you charge your phone 200 times, the most you can charge your phone into when you plug it in is it only goes up to 80%. It's capped at 80%. And don't forget this is the big one. They cut your charging speeds in half. It sucks. viewers of my channel know I talk about it often. And nobody talks about this on YouTube. I have no idea why, but please keep that in mind, especially if you're gonna buy a used phone, because people like me get a new Pixel, and then when I hit my 200 charging cycle limit, it takes 2 hours to charge. I want to sell the thing. It's not worth it to me. Everybody's different. Maybe you're okay with just plugging it in at night, but whatever. But I want you to be aware of that. The iPhone it has no charging limits like this Pixel, right? Um, it's a smaller battery, but it lasts longer, a lot longer. So here's the charging. iPhone, you get 40 watts charging. Pixel, you get 30 watts charging, wired. And then the wireless charging, 25 watts with the iPhone 17 versus 15 watts with the Pixel. So again, that 60 hertz, that LTPO 1.0, the very first gen of LTPO, meaning when it rolls down variable refresh rate, the very first one goes down to 60 hertz. That's what the Pixel has. And again, the iPhone being able to go down to 1 hertz saves it a lot in the battery department, right? So please keep this in mind when you're deciding to choose one of these two phones. And you can see here, iPhone lasts over 11 hours usage, and the Pixel only lasts 8 hours, just over 8 hours. So if you're looking for if you love long battery life, you're probably and faster charging, you're probably going to want to grab the iPhone. So 40 watts wired, 25 wireless on the iPhone, hits 50% in 20 minutes. That's with it plugged in, wired. So you get 50% in just 20 minutes. That's actually pretty quick for, a phone, right? Now, I seen this number and I'm not sure it's correct, because Google's saying, well, ours can hit 55% in just 30 minutes. Okay, so let's say even that is true. So you're saying, so then it should be at 100% in 1 hour, right? Because 30 minutes for the Pixel 10 gets it to 55%. No, it'll go to 55% pretty quick. But then once you get like over 60 or 70, it takes forever. And I'm not even exaggerating. It takes forever to get to 100, from like 70% to 100%. Like from a full charge from 0 to 100 with the Pixel 10, I think it takes an hour and 46 minutes, something like that, or hour and a half. It's ridiculous. There's one thing about Pixel that just drives me crazy, but everybody's different. So just keep that in mind. As I mentioned earlier, you may or may not want to deal with that. I don't. So let's see, the storage. We've gone over this, or I think I just went over this at the beginning. Base 256 for the iPhone. And if you want the equivalent on the Pixel 10, guess what? The starting cost is kind of tricks you, because you say, oh, it's a battle of the base flagship, $799. Which one do you want? Well, hold up, I don't want a 128. So if I don't want a 128 Pixel 10, if I want a 256 to compete against this iPhone, that means I'm going to have to pay $100 more to get the equivalent of the iPhone. So you're essentially paying $899. Ouch, I would never pay $899 for a Pixel 10. You have to pay $899 for a Pixel 10 256, and you have to pay $799 for a 256 gig iPhone 17. You see where that comes into play? We're going to go over prices here in just a second. So let's look at this. When it comes down to the scorecards, essentially, so the iPhone 17 is the blue. The green is the Pixel 10. And you can see where each one has its strengths and weaknesses. So the strengths and weaknesses for the iPhone 17: raw performance, gaming power, editing. The CPU is really good in the iPhone. Get fantastic video quality on the iPhone as well. And then the battery efficiency. Battery can last pretty long and it charges faster. And then with the Pixel, you get still photos and zoom. That's where it really stands out for the Pixel 10. And then AI, operating system, customization. That's where it really stands out. Now, iPhone takes 3 out of those 5 categories, right? And it should. It outperforms the Pixel 10. So that comes down to who wants to buy one of these phones. So it depends on what you do. And I say that a lot with most of these phones. Because I get asked a lot, well, what phone should I get? I'm like, I don't know. What do you do on your phone? You know what I'm saying? It depends. If you just watch YouTube all day, you can go buy a bottom of the barrel Motorola phone. Who cares? But if you do certain tasks, you're going to need a certain phone for your certain tasks. There's better options over others, right? So if you value video, if you value video shooting, content creation, game, if you do like gaming, heavy gaming, if you want long battery life, maybe you're not around a charger all day, maybe you're out on the road, maybe you work outside, you're not going to want to get the Pixel. You're going to want that iPhone 17. Um, if you value still photos, if you like some AI features, and you zoom in a lot, I don't know who the hell zooms in all the time, but again, if you like still photos, if you like simplicity, if you like some AI features, you're going to want that Pixel 10. And then, the operating system. And that's a big time personal preference. I hate iOS. I love Android. But again, everybody is completely different. So I'm going to leave this up to you. Now, the final verdict, I know it's a buy this, not that. My final verdict is. You ready? Which one am I going to choose? None of them. I'm not going to choose any of them. I have fallen out of love with Pixel so much. The 200 charging, I'm telling you, this 200 charging cycle, they're screwing customers left and right, and nobody seems to pick this up. I don't know why. It drives me crazy. I'm not doing it. I think I'm going to strike Pixel. I had a big time live stream yesterday. I'm just not happy with the direction they're going in. And for what I do, I edit a lot, do a ton of video editing, and it cannot hang up. It cannot keep up with what I need to do, with what I need my phone to do, if that makes sense. It's video editing is almost impossible on a Pixel. Sorry. It's just not. And then I'm not choosing the iPhone because I freaking hate an iPhone. So I would just go smartphone-less, meaning I probably wouldn't even, if I had to choose one, I wouldn't. I'd say, screw it. I'm just going to go with a dumb phone or one of those stupid clicks communicator things. Those things are, well, I guess that would technically be an Android. So I'm not choosing either one. But maybe this phone, what works for me doesn't work for you. What works for you may not work for me. These two phones can be fantastic devices. I'm not hating on you, or if you're interested in one of these phones. Look, if it works for you, I'm happy for you. I'm just saying, for me, I hate iPhone, so I'm not going to choose an iPhone. And Pixel can't keep up with what I do, so I'm not choosing a Pixel. Sorry. But here is a list of things, compromises, if you prioritize these things, just food for thought. And then let's go and check some prices here, shall we? So this is the current price, then we'll get out of here. This is the current price for the iPhone 17. Now, there's a bunch of different prices because of the different carriers. What I did, if you go to recent sales, so this is for the iPhone 17, I put in the unlocked model, condition, whatever. I don't have a set condition. And in storage, let's just put 256. If you want 512 here, the prices for 512, the last one sold. These are recent sales. The last one sold was on the 27th, which is just a couple of days ago, was $729. It looks right around that same price, right around $730 to $750 for a 512. And then if you want to go to 256, the average is right about $700 for a 256 iPhone. Now let's go to a Pixel 10. Here's Pixel 10. Condition, I have any. I have the unlocked model, no carrier. And then 256 as well. Remember, they starts out at base 128. But remember, 256 was about $700 for the iPhone. Well, the most recent sales for the Pixel 10 256 gig was 568, 568, 568, 565, 526. So they're roughly going for 560, something like that. The last few that have been sold, that's for a 256. So that's a good $140 cheaper. So the iPhone 17 compared to the Pixel 10, same storage variant. The iPhone is holding $140 more of value, essentially, than the Pixel. Kind of goes to tell you, I'm assuming most people are watching this will probably take the iPhone, and that's cool. If that works for you, hey, it works for me. Now let's jump down to the 128. If you want to get your foot in the door, maybe you don't take much pictures. You just need something to take a couple photos every now and then. Call, text, and you're good. That Pixel 10 will work for you wonderfully. And just to get your foot in the door at 128, you're going to be looking at for the most recent sales was 460, 491, 489, 491. So right around 480, something like that for the base model. I'm going to link everything we've gone over, everything you see here. I'm going to link down below. I'm going to link those slides that we went through is to my Notebook LM comparison of the iPhone 17 and the Pixel 10 series. You're going to want to check that out. I have more than just slides. I have the mind map. I have podcast videos. I have blog posts. I have all sorts of stuff directly referencing the iPhone 17 versus Pixel 10 Pro. Check out that Notebook LM link down below. And I'm also going to link the Swappa links that we just looked at so you can kind of get a good price. Again, maybe you're not ready to buy now, maybe in a month or two, but you're going to want to come check the prices to make sure you don't get ripped off wherever you buy your phone, right? Or you could even buy it on Swappa as well. But Swappa is the best place, in my opinion, to go find the best fair market value for these devices if you're looking to sell or buy. Reference the prices, see what the average is, so you don't get overcharged $180 on Facebook marketplace, right? You need some negotiating power, and this is the perfect thing to reference. Because if somebody's overcharging, oh well, it's in perfect condition. Be like, oh well, I just checked Swappa, and you're charging $194 over what that same phone went for on Swappa. See what I'm saying? And you can send them screenshots. Be like, look, here's the proof. Now here's my bottom line. And then the ball's in their court. So I love using Swappa to negotiate. It's a fantastic tool. So appreciate the time. Make sure to subscribe. We're going to do these all the time. Buy this, not that. See you on the next one. Peace out.